Okay, this is Scoot Malaire, and I want to try something a little bit different here. I'm going to talk to you guys just a little bit about the nuts and bolts about how I'm going to try to grow this channel. Keeping in mind, this is somebody who has no clue how to grow anything online, has never had any success when he's tried. But anyhow, so I got this storytelling channel, and I'm trying to get the word out there. From what I understand, YouTube really likes it when people watch a video from beginning to end, and that helps them make it so that it is later suggested for other people. So I have a lot of people that I'm really good friends with that I'm anxious to share this channel with. But what I want to do is start asking 4 or 5 of them at different times, all at once, if they could go online and watch my handful of videos from beginning to end and give me feedback on how they do. I think at the same time, in addition to getting this valuable feedback from such good friends, I'll also be able to help the analytics if there is such a thing with YouTube. But along the way, I thought it might be kind of neat just to tell you really quickly about these 4 or 5 people that I'm going to share with each time. So this time around, one of the people, the first person I actually asked to watch this, a guy named Ian, who's really good friends with my brother. They've been good friends since high school. And I'll just tell you, Ian was a superstar on our high school football team. Later went to UCF, University of Central Florida. And I think, if I remember, I just don't remember the teams, but I think he played for the Toronto Argonauts in the Canadian Football League for a little while, was a really, really fast track star and defensive back for the team, and is one of the coolest people I've ever known. His family is from Jamaica. He had a brother who tragically passed away within the last 5 or 6 years named Pernell. And he went to school also. Pernell was closer to my age, and we had one class together, and for as little as we saw each other, I felt like we were pretty good friends. And over the years, even though my brother lives in Louisville, Andy has kept up with Ian, and I'm really lucky because whenever Andy comes to town, our families get together and we get to see Ian and his amazing family. And he's been really successful in a lot of different things over the years, and he's somebody whose opinion I value highly. So when I got together, the last time my brother was in town and we all got together, I mentioned to Ian I was starting to put together some material for a YouTube channel, and he was really, really interested in it and asked me what kind of content it was. So rather than just giving it to him all at once, I decided to wait until I was ready to launch this and ask him to see it all at one time. So I just texted Ian earlier today and asked him if he could be one of the first people to watch the videos. Now, the second person that I'm sharing this with right up front, right off the bat, is Shelby. She and I taught together. Our careers overlapped for about 1.5 years. She's very young. She's probably 24, 25 now. She stopped teaching so she could have her second child. She stopped for a little while she was having the first, but around that, before and after, she was thrown into a very unusual teaching situation, and I kind of became her mentor, and we became such good friends along the way. She teaches history and a little bit of language arts, and there were a lot of things we had that we were always talking about, but most importantly, she's somebody that's trying to make a difference in the world. She and her husband are both very active in the church, and really especially with trying to help kids that are trying to find their way. And I know that recently there were a couple of girls that she's taken in kind of as boarders because this was the right time in their life to be finding somewhere to get on their own. And it helps she and her husband, especially with their newborn. But she's such an amazing person. And I'm a little saddened that she's not part of my everyday life. But I'm so glad that she knew I was doing something like this with the storytelling, and that she's one of the first people that I'm going to share this with and ask for her feedback as well. Now, the third person is my Aunt Sally. My Aunt Sally, and I can't mention Aunt Sally without Aunt Freddie as well. They're a couple that have been together for longer than my wife and I have been together. They're 2 of my favorite people in the world. And my aunt, for the longest time, she started off as cool aunt in my life. And then later I saw that she was a teacher and eventually an assistant principal and a principal. And I come from a long line of educators. And even though I was too young to know it, and I wasn't at the same school, I know she was a highly effective principal. Anyhow, I think she'd be really kind of proud of some of the stuff that I'm doing with this channel, particularly because a lot of the stories I'm going to get to share with you guys are little stories I'm able to mention to my kids in class that's really able to help endear them to me. And I know my aunt would appreciate that aspect of it. So I can't wait to have Aunt Sally check these videos out as well. So I'm sharing this with Aunt Sally right off the bat to ask her if she'll check out my first 4 or 5 videos. And then the last one is a gentleman that I also work with. His name is Larry. Now, Larry used to work in a school in some other capacity. I don't know if he was a teacher or an administrator, but he worked in a school for a very long time, and he retired and still wanted to work. So now he's still in the system. And Larry is basically the groundskeeper for the school. He does the entire upkeep for the entire school. And our school is always getting the most incredible kudos for how great it looks. But that's not even the way I became friends with Larry. For Larry, when I first started there, even though we did completely different things in the school, he was always the nicest guy to say hi to. He found out my name right away and always calls me by my name. I noticed that when he and I are talking, he is just as friendly with the students as our best teachers are. And he's a genuine nice guy and a good all-around person. So whenever our paths cross, we always stop for a minute and talk. So I told him about a month ago I was putting together this project, and he's one of the first people that came to mind because I'd love to get his feedback on how this goes as well. Now, one little side note about Larry. His job seems like it might be such an interesting thing to do if I decided to do something in the schools after I retired from teaching. But there's no way in the world I would ever follow Larry, because no one person could ever do the job that guy does. So whoever follows him is going to be a failure right off the bat, because they're never going to live up to the expectations we have at this great school that I get to teach at. So, but for what it's worth, Larry's such a great guy. I can't wait to hear what he thinks about some of these videos as well. So what I'm going to try to do is find 4 or 5 different people each day, maybe once a week, twice a week, we'll see. But ask them if they can zoom in and watch these videos and give me some feedback. And once again, maybe it'll help the analytics. But best of all, the more I'm thinking about it, it'll give me a reason to sit down and tell you about these 4 or 5 people. Anyhow, if I've said it once, I've said it a million times. Make sure you subscribe, like, and share for even more Scoot Malaire. Thanks, you guys.